Hello and welcome to Montgomery Community Media's Small Business Network. My name is Kelly Leonard. In addition to being the CEO of Taylor Leonard Corporation, I have the privilege each month of being the host and facilitator of the Small Business Network. Each month, we bring the business community together to network, to collaborate, and to share best practices in an effort to stimulate regional economic development. Thank you for joining us on the live stream, as well as this full studio here in Rockville. I have the privilege and honor of introducing David Trone and spending some time with him. But before we get into questions, I just want to share some of his background with you. David Trone is an American business success. Born in Cheverly, Maryland, David has spent his childhood on a struggling family farm. He funded his graduate school education with student loans and opened his first store his second semester. From one store, Total Wine & More has become the largest independent retailer in wine in the United States, with 172 stores in 22 states and almost $3 billion, with a B, dollars in annual revenue. The national headquarters and 2 stores are located here in Maryland. David believes that with success comes an obligation to pay it forward. Total Wine & More leads their industry in wages and benefits for workers, and we're among the first to offer partner benefits and to ban the box on employment applications. Total Wine has contributed more than $50 million to charities, and David and his wife, June, are generous philanthropists as well. David is a major supporter of progressive causes in Maryland and nationwide. And it's a pleasure to introduce him to you all online as well as here in the television studio. Mr. David Trone.
Thank you very much, Kelly. It's great being here.
Thank you for coming. So, the Small Business Network is primarily comprised of small business owners and entrepreneurs, and you have a great story. So I would love for you to share with us more about sort of the Total Wine story. Like, how did you, of all the things that you could do in business, why Total Wine?
Well, you certainly don't start off where you end up. I think that's important in business to think about, the whole journey of how your life goes. And, our journey, as Kelly mentioned, started on a farm in Pennsylvania, chicken farms and hogs. So that's no connection whatsoever to the wine business. And everything happens for a reason. Unfortunately, the farm ended up failing for a variety of reasons. And that failure came out of that, which led then to the investment in a beer business, a very, very small business, probably smaller than this room when we first started. And we had one good idea, and my idea was sell beer and sell it for less. And people like paying less. Yeah, that has worked forever. So from that store, my second semester at Wharton, so when the farm went bankrupt and the banks came in, they took our house, they took the farm. I went to Wharton on student loans. My parents were divorced, and I worked there supporting my mom and the younger kids. I'm the oldest of 5. And I first started brokering eggs because I knew about the egg business. So I was a telephone guy at the Wharton School, always on the phone in Vance Hall on the pay phones then, no cell phones. And using a credit card type thing to make phone calls and sell eggs around America. And that business I did for a little over a year. And bad news, all the chickens and the eggs in that East Coast quarter got the avian flu and died. Wow. So I ended up moving into the beer business and small store in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. My mom, my younger siblings, we all worked there together. I took the train back from Wharton on Thursday nights and went back to Philly on Sundays. And that's how we got started. So one small store, and today we're, as you said, across the country.
So then, because you've got some roots in the Pennsylvania area as well, so why Montgomery County? Like, why is your headquarters here? Tell us more about sort of your love for the county.
Yeah, we became based in Pittsburgh. After Harrisburg, I moved to Pittsburgh and opened up stores throughout that region. But then when we entered the wine and spirit business in 1991, that was up in Delaware. And from there, we went to New Jersey, down to Maryland, down to Virginia. So we began to work the East Coast. And I was living on U.S. Air, and just wasn't a great lifestyle. So we decided we had to move to the East Coast. And Montgomery County, great workforce, great diversity, highly educated, And that's what attracted us here. Now, little did we know you can't even build a store here. It was like an added like, whoa, how'd that happen? So you got the biggest wine and spirits company living, working right here with 500 and some folks in Bethesda, but we can't build a store here. So it doesn't matter. It's a great place to live and to raise a family.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you for contributing to our local economy by being here. We definitely appreciate that. And so you mentioned about the failure of the family farm. I'd imagine there's been other challenges that you've had along the way. I mean, you don't go from one store to 172 without having some speed bumps along the way. Can you share with us some of those other challenges that you may have had as you've grown the business?
Absolutely. One of the things that we learned early on was that you don't really operate in a vacuum. The thinking was, if we get up every morning and we do a great job and we take care of our customer, we win. But sometimes the competition can use government to block you. Now, you wouldn't think that could happen, but it does. And we got our first taste of that in 1987. So I built that store in 84. 85, I built a second store in Pittsburgh. I skipped graduation. My wife actually also went to the Wharton School of Business. She picked up my diploma, and I went to Pittsburgh and opened up a store in May of 85. 87, they passed a state law in Pennsylvania that you could not advertise the price of beer by price. So you've got a business that's built on a model of best prices. Then the inside guys, the insiders, decide, oh, that's not good for our buddies. Pass a law, became state law in Pennsylvania, 87, and that became the law in Pennsylvania, and so that was vitiated by the U.S. Supreme Court in 1996. So that really changed our model and said to us, we need to pay attention to government. Then the first state I went after I left Pennsylvania, Delaware. Within a year, I bought 2 stores, small stores, and I slowly built them bigger. Within a year, they passed a law in Delaware, you can only own 2 stores. That was it. Got to Maryland, and guess what? They passed a law, your store can't be bigger than 10,000 feet. So that's a type of government interference that we have seen. I mean, just recently, I'm litigating now in Tennessee. They passed a law in Tennessee, you could buy unlimited stores, now it's 2. Then they had an attorney general's ruling, said you have to live in Tennessee. Now that's crazy.
Wow.
We live in America, we don't live in 50 countries.
Right. Wow, that's interesting. Wow. So another thing that you just alluded to a moment ago was taking care of your customer. So how would you describe what that looks like for Total Wine? How are you taking care of the customer?
I mean, the key in retail, we look at it as 3 C's. We got to focus on the first C, and that's the customer. Second C is the culture. Culture is our people, because if we get the best people and we train, and really invest in our people, they stay with us. And when they stay with us, they go back and take care of the customer. So it all goes right back to the customer. So every day when we get out of bed in the morning, we're certainly not thinking about, oh, how are we going to make $1 today? Nah, we're thinking about how we can do a better job for the customer. And if we get that right, everything else takes care of itself. And the third C is the competition, because consumers have choices. Store A or Store B or Store C. So we've got to learn from our competition. If you read about Sam Walton, you'll see that he went out and he visited all the competition. And he didn't want to see what Walmart did better. He wanted to see what Walmart didn't do as good. So he could take those ideas, incorporate them into his business, and make it better for his customer. So we focus on those 3 C's: customer, culture, people, and competition. But we've got to create experiential retail. Retailing that's just a price and an item. In today's world with the internet, that's not going to cut it. It's just not going to make it. So we've got to be able to create an experience when you come into the store that says, wow, it's big, it's beautiful, it's interactive, and the team, the people, our team members really know about the product. And they can talk about the right wine or the right spirit or the right craft beer at the right price, for the right occasion, for the right food, etc. And that interaction, then we built classrooms now in all of our stores. So we have classroom, 40 people to 120. Again, to learn about tequila, learn about Bordeaux, learn about Burgundy. We even do virtual classes now. I was in Dallas the other day, and they had a virtual class going on Saturday. They actually can wire in over the internet through a Hughes technology system the ability to have a vintner or a spirit maker in another country,
Wow.
live, talking to our customers in 100 plus stores simultaneously while we're doing tastings in all of those stores with our team. Then we can tweet back questions. But we've got to make things interactive, and eventually it all gets on the mobile phone. And that's where it ends. That's where it's really going, of course. All the customer data, the loyalty data, the CRM data, and data is king, of course. So the more data we have about our customer, the better we can serve our customer. We don't want to waste your time. If you want to buy a single malt scotch, we've got to have that talking to you about a single malt scotch. Right. Whereas this young lady might want to buy a Bordeaux. Mm-hmm. So we need to talk to her about Bordeaux.
So it's funny, in preparation for this interview, I was like a secret shopper in the Laurel store. And I mean, the team is absolutely amazing. And then after that, I actually came and I was like, hello, I'm here to actually interview. So I was with the general manager, I believe, at the Laurel store. And he spoke just so highly of you and your leadership. And so I would love to learn more about, as a leader, what does that look like? What do you think are the characteristics that have helped you to support your team members that are working for Total Wine?
Yeah, my job is completely to be the leader and set the tone. So I've got to try and always be thinking about long term, because all through life we're given options. We think short term and do what works for today. And that might be great for today, but all my life I've realized that if I gave up what was maybe more fun or easier in the short term, and I opted for the long term, I opted for the hard way. The hard way is usually the right way. And by taking that long-term view, we've been able to grow our company, I think, much more successfully than we would have if we had taken those short-term wins. So we always thought about, what do we want to do for the customer and our team, our people, that's going to work for them long-term. And if we have that in mind, we're good. So that vision is what my job as a CEO is. Set that vision and then be a coach. Be a teacher. And teach folks why we do it. Because when you explain to people why, they get great buy-in. And they say, hey, I'm respected. These folks value who I am, and they value my ideas. And we've got to be always driving for new ideas. Because if we don't embrace change, we're history. You're out of business. So we've got to love change. And we've got to love problems too. Mm-hmm. I always tell my guys and gals, I said, run to the problem. When you've got a problem, sometimes folks think, maybe it'll go away. You ever have that happen? It never goes away. It just stays there like lettuce and it turns brown. So we like to teach our guys, run to the problem, bring your experience, bring your intellect, and then work to fix it. And that's a better philosophy, I think.
Absolutely. And so let's look a bit at the whole, you mentioned human dignity, or you didn't say human dignity, but that's what I pulled out of when you were talking about respect and things like that. And so I was on Facebook and I was like, oh my gosh, I get to interview David Trone. And so amazingly, one of the first people that responded back to me wasn't about how great the store was, but they were like, oh my gosh, they were one of the first organizations to ban the box. Right. And so I thought that was really interesting that that's what this person knew you and knew the organization for. And I don't know if folks that are watching online or here in the room really know what that means. So can you share more about what that means and why you felt that that was something that you wanted to support as an organization?
Yeah, roughly 70 million people in America have some form of a criminal record. Now, a lot of those are DUIs, minor, very minor infractions. But it's a mind-boggling number. And 2.3 million people are in prison. America has 5% of the world's population, yet 25% of the world's folks in prison. That's a bad number. Think about that, 5 but 25. And all the statistics, the data says our sentencing is not leading to cutting back on crime. We all want to be safer, absolutely. So my wife and I got involved in the criminal justice system many, many years ago. We worked with the American Civil Liberties Union, which is an awesome organization, protecting our rights in so many areas. And banning the box is just one step in a long process. But what it means is simply is we're not asking those applicants if they have a criminal record, if they've been arrested, convicted, etc. We're saying, who are you and what do you bring to this job? Then you go through the process. And if you're hired, we're going to make a conditional hire, because we're not having a box that's checked that says, oh, I've been convicted, and therefore no one looks at your application. You're thrown out right away. So all these folks that made a mistake, and who in this room hasn't made a mistake? We all have. But sometimes bad things happen to good people, and they made a mistake, they've paid a price, and now they're back out, and they're returning citizens. So we need to figure out a way to help our returning citizens to find jobs and education. So we work with the American Civil Liberties Union, and we put together a task force. And on that task force, we brought together folks from the left and from the right. So we have Michael Lomax of the United Negro College Fund helping us with education. We have Walmart, the head of HR, bringing the idea of how about jobs? And then we also have the Koch brothers, hard-wing, right-wing Republicans, who also agree with us on this issue. There's a lot of great Americans that have made a mistake, and let's move on with it and work past it. And so banning the box is a first step. But if we can convince Walmart and others to proactively hire returning citizens, there's millions and millions of folks in America that will go into the workforce, contribute, build lives, get off the public dole, and become taxpayers and get better educated. Now that's a great thing. And so it's a big issue, and we work around the country on it, and it's just a small way that we can try and make a difference, and it's the right thing to do.
Awesome. You have experienced a tremendous amount of success in your life. I mean, a lot of people would say, oh my gosh, yeah, you are living the American dream. But in your estimation, what do you think, like maybe one or two of your greatest successes have been?
Well, that's an easy one. Success is shared, and that's important. So our best success is be able to create 6,000 good jobs to great jobs for our team members around the country. So that's 6,000 families around America that now have jobs at Total Wine and More throughout the United States, from coast to coast. So I think that's the most important success we've had.
Awesome. And then what has provided you with the most satisfaction in sort of when you look back, like let's even take it from the last 10 years. What has provided you with the most satisfaction?
It's pretty easy. My wife and 4 kids, 100%. As I said, my wife and I met at the Wharton School. She's an engineer by trade, and so we've been together for the entire ride from the first store to the 172nd store this year. This year we're building 24 stores around the United States. Texas is our biggest area of expansion. We're building 13 stores in Texas. But the key has been the time we've been able to take out from our schedule to devote to my 4 children. So I love coaching sports because I'm all about team. Sports are team, and that's my life, is teams. The team at work, the team at home. That's how I look upon our team. So I've coached my kids basketball, softball, lacrosse, and soccer. I've coached over 90 teams.
Wow.
I'm insane. But you've just got to get out there and do it and grab that time in your life, because you're all busy. But you just got to say, I'm cutting out Tuesdays and Thursdays for practice and Saturday for a game, and get good assistants, guys that can help you. I always recruit everybody because I want all the parents to be part of it. And then if you're tied up in a trip, you have somebody else to step in for you. But that's been the most fulfilling.
Beautiful. We're going to open up the floor for questions. If anyone in the studio has a question, you can make your way to the microphone, please. Awesome.
Good morning. My name's Kelly Jennings. I own a business called Quincy CFO. I've spent my career for over 20 years in the back office, so accounting, HR, IT, facilities, legal. I'm curious, when you say you're 3 C's of culture, competition,
Customer.
and customers,
Don't forget
how
the
do you, well, that's exactly the point of my question.
That's where
How
we're
do you,
starting.
how do you drive that culture in the back office? How do you get them to care so much about the customers when they're not necessarily dealing with the customers?
Yeah, their customer is one step removed. Their customer, in the way the finance department or the supply chain department is, they're thinking about the store. So they're part of a customer chain that starts in the back office, as you say, in finance or supply chain or MIS technology, whatever it might be. Then they're taking care of their direct customer, that's the store team. And if they can keep the store team running smoothly, keep us in stock, keep the bills paid, keep the doors open, everything working, then the store team has the wherewithal to take care of the final customer. So it goes right down a funnel.
Thank you.
Good morning. Jeff Miller Consulting Alliance. One of the issues that we always deal with is fear of failure. Kelly had asked you about the failures or challenges that you've had along the way, and I'm just curious as to what some of your lessons from that were.
The biggest thing is we want failure. When I first started talking about that in the organization, I was looked at like, that's not right. Why does he want failure? Because if we don't have some failure, how are we going to learn? And if we don't fail, we probably will not succeed to the level in which we could have or should have. We'll get a lifetime, for a baseball analogy, we'll get a lifetime of singles, one base hits. We need to push the envelope and go for the triples, the home runs. So if you have a team member that just never ever fails, they're pretty good, but maybe they could be even better if they took more risk. And the way we're going to win in business is take some risk. Because if not, we become too bureaucratic and we become slow and not responsive and afraid of failure. So we've got to embrace that fear of failure and make it our own so we're good with it. So we actually judge our team members and throughout the organization that you need to try stuff, and if you can't show me where you've had some failure and what you learned, that's not as good.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Suzanne Shear with the Mecum Group. I have a question on behalf of my 16-year-old son who wants to be an entrepreneur, and I wonder what advice you have for teenagers wanting to be entrepreneurs.
I think that's great, and we just got to keep setting the tone that if you get a chance to work for yourself, there's nothing better than that, because every dollar is going to accrue back, and you get to set your schedule, coach those teams. That's a great thing. Be there when there's an event. You can set your own schedule, but they got to get out and spend time with other entrepreneurs if they can, and they got to sometimes work in other people's money for a while, because you can't just start off. I started off at 28, and we didn't have anything, and we were able to finance the business basically through credit. It's kind of complicated with the soft drink companies where you buy on credit and you don't pay them for 60 days. So that was a way we could finance things in the beginning. But I was just getting out and spending time with other entrepreneurs and learn about business broadly. Don't get narrowly defined. Otherwise you'll get pigeonholed into a certain area of your business. So get out of your comfort zone and go to a part of the business that you really don't know much about, but you want to learn. That curiosity, awesome trait in a successful entrepreneur. So think about curiosity.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning. Ashok Kapoor from Hawkeye Medical.
Hi there.
Thank you for a wonderful talk. My question is, as a small business, you are agile. You can pivot as market forces change. As you grow bigger, you sometimes become stiffer. So how do you keep your agility and be able to pivot as the market forces change?
And that's a great question. It is so dead on. And we see that as the business grows. So when you cross 100 million, you cross $1 billion, $2 billion, you need different people at different stages of your progression in your business, because they all bring different skill sets. So there's not many folks that can be with you at 100 million and be your chief financial officer, that will do the right job at 2 billion, soon to be 4 billion. So you got to have a willingness to say, can our people stretch? Can they challenge themselves and grow? And oftentimes they can't. Then they need to move to a different job in the organization. So you've got to realize that bureaucracy and success just breeds a lack of risk-taking. And that's the number one reason family businesses fail. They reach a certain point and they say, wow, I've made it. I'm going to play it safe. I'm not going to take any risk at all. Then they begin to hire too many people to take the risk out of the business. By doing that, they become bloated. Bloated is slow, just like you said. We need speed. There's a book called The Speed of Trust. Trust in your people, moving fast. And if you do that, you can win. But that is a big time failure for entrepreneurs.
Thank you.
Cliff Chaya with iHeartMedia. Number one, congratulations on the wonderful success story you have. My question is, and also proud soccer coach for 13 years.
Excellent.
All 3 kids didn't want to play, so Dad was signed up, but it was great. Drinking age. Okay, a lot of people in this room, myself included, 18 years old. You know, you can fight for your country, you can vote, can't buy a beer. So I just kind of wonder, in your business, your position on, you know, there's lots of statistics that go back and forth, you know, both ways, but kind of your viewpoint on the drinking age and it not being at 18 and still being at 21.
Yeah, when I went to college, the drinking age was 18, as some of you in this room. And young people, they want to experiment, so they went out and began to drink. But when the federal highway bills changed the law to 21, everybody had to comply. If you travel around to Europe or Asia, wherever you happen to go, it's not going to be 21. And it's a major issue that we've got to control binge drinking versus thoughtful, responsible drinking. And I don't think the 21 does anything to help us in that area. It makes the forbidden fruit that all the kids want to, you know, have it before that happens. And then because it's forbidden, they pregame it, they take shots, and that's when they don't even know what they've ingested.
Right.
And that's the real danger and the problem. So it's a major issue. I think 18 is absolutely would be fine. That'll never happen in America. There's no movement for that whatsoever. I know a lot. I'm on 3 college boards. The college folks would love to have it 18 because they don't want to be policemen. But the kids need to grow up and get comfortable where alcohol is not something to overindulge in. It's something to enjoy with food and other folks. And plus, it's healthy.
Yeah.
In moderation.
Absolutely. Well said. I
Awesome.
appreciate your viewpoint on that.
Yes, this has been amazing. Thank you so much, David. We've come to the end of our time, and we're just grateful for you and the wisdom, the insight that you shared and taking time. I know you're an extremely busy person, so we appreciate you being here.
Well, happy to do it.
Awesome. So this concludes this month's Small Business Network. Thank you for joining us on the live stream as well as here in the television studio. Please be sure to come back next month. We'll be back here again, same time, same place, on the 25th of June, or actually the 15th of June. My apologies, the 15th of June. And we will feature Sharon Washington. She is the president of the P3 Solution. Her topic, more platforms, more problems. Simplifying your social media marketing. And so on behalf of Montgomery Community Media, I want to thank you for spending your morning with us. Take care and have a productive and successful day.